Hey everyone, it's Failed Shot back on the video, and you all like my Water Guild Boss guide quite a bit. So here we are on the Wood Guild Boss. I'm going to give you my team and the top 10 characters I would use to start building a team for the Wood Guild Boss. So let's jump into it. So here you have it. As you can see, I managed to take rank 1 here with 800k damage. It's not quite as impressive as the Water Guild Boss totals, but we're not using someone as insane as Intinua in our Guild Boss comps. But as you can see here, we did quite a bit of damage, and there's really only one big difference between the Water Guild Boss to the Wood Guild Boss, and that is the trait. So when the Wood Guild Boss attacks, they're going to remove one positive effect. So this is quite important in regards to people who like Hackran, who are putting up stacking max HP. He's going to remove that. And obviously any other buffs that you're going to be putting up, they're going to remove that when they attack. Everything else remains the same. They're going to attack an additional target if they go ahead and hit the wrong affinity, and they're going to AoE every other attack. So what team did I end up running for this 800k damage? Well, you can see here, I ended up rolling Garel, William, Jacob, and Yolanda with the defense down and the Gaia's Renewal spell. Now, my Garel here has 0 Ascension, so I could get a lot more damage out of my comp here if I had a lot more Ascensions on my Garel. William's still here because of the basic attack increase, and you're going to be counter-attacking and bonus attacking with Jacob and Garel. And Yolanda's here just to put up that 1 of shield and get a little bit of attack bonus to our Jacob or our Garel, depending on where she places it. Now, this was on full auto. I did not manual this, so we're going to be playing this in the background. But just before that, let's jump into the stats and go over them just a brief moment. Now, these stats are by no means earlier game stats. These are kind of the stats I was able to achieve on my Jacob and my Garel. So if you're running, worse geared characters, you're going to do a little bit less damage. But I do think that Jacob is the best Wood Guild Boss damage dealer. He's got 4.35k attack. Maxed out crit rate, and that's super important for Guild Boss because you have long fights here. We have 282% crit damage. The speed doesn't matter too much, and he is Ascension 6 here. And then we have Garel up here. He's Ascension 0, so we're missing a lot of stats there. Max crit rate, almost 4k attack with 265% crit damage. Garel here is going to survive much longer than Jacob, he is massively tanky from his base stats as well as his counter attack. Then we have Yolanda here, and she is 6-star. When I ran that run previously, she was at 5 stars. So this could give a little bit of extra, damage or not. We'll have to see. She's an arena build right now. She's got 21k HP, 1600 defense, 200 speed, as well as 121% resistance, and a little bit of agility as well. And then we have William down here, and William he's in a arena build as well. Currently, he's got 20k HP, 1900 defense, 151 speed, and 95% focus with a little bit of resistance as well. It's important that you get the high focus on William because he probably will be landing that defense down with his ultimate, and we do want to land that as much as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and run the run in the background as well as give you my top 10 characters for the Wood Guild Boss here. So let's go ahead and run the run, and let's just let it play out. And let's go over that list. So as this round is playing in the background, I just want to go over 2 things. First off, this comp doesn't really get any better on manual. I tried it on manual. We didn't really get too much better damage. It was like maybe 10,000 more. So I just decided to put out the run and just try to get on auto. And one other thing is that Yolanda, you don't necessarily care about targeting someone on your team. You actually want William to put the defense up on himself because he will be the first one to die. So we don't want to target Jacob here and put the defense down up on Jacob or anything like that because almost always William will be the first one to die. Also, you want a little bit of focus on Yolanda if you can get it. That way she will land the defense down with the spell on the first round. So with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into the top 10 characters that I would recommend as you start off to build a Guild Boss comp for the Wood Guild Boss. And we're going to start off with 5 supports and then 5 damage dealers. Unlike the Water Guild Boss and Tinua being your only damage dealer, oftentimes you're going to want to run a multiple damage dealing comp, just like this Garel plus Jacob. And there's a few other ones. So you don't want to run a ton of supports, but you do want 2 supports generally in the comp. So first one off in the Wood Guild Boss is I actually recommend you build out Zitlin and use him. If you time the skills right, as well as if you play on manual, you'll get a ton more damage out of Zitlin. strictly just doubling that damage for the period that you were dealing damage with that curse effect. Very, very good. That's really the big reason you're using him, but do not shy away from his trait, which is will actually go ahead and heal you for percent of the damage that you're taking from the guild boss, which is actually really, really key in surviving even longer. The second one we have is Brand. Brand is pretty big, and honestly, I don't know if we'll actually get more damage out of this comp if I replace Yolanda with Brand. Just the natural shield, as well as the attack up and defense up, and just the counter attacks coming out with the attack down. We probably could get more damage if I had a Brand instead of Yolanda, but this comp is quite good without him. And then we have Yolanda at number 3, and Yolanda is just amazing. Again, for the same reason that she's good for the Water Guild boss, going to give you that attack up 2 with the bonus turn, and that clutch shield that pretty much mitigates damage for a couple of rounds in a row. Now, it's important to note with the Wood Guild boss, he can remove it if he goes ahead and strips the buff there, so keep that in mind. Then we have 4, which is actually William. Even though he's negative affinity, or the Wood Guild boss is the wrong affinity for William, especially when you're running a lot of counterattackers and base attacks here, you're going to get so much more damage. As you can see here, Jacob's going to go ahead and get like a bunch of turns with curse set. By the way, Garel and Jacob are both on curse sets here, and each one of these hits is going to deal 60% more damage from William's passive, which is super, super important. Not to mention the counterattack here is going to give Garel rage stacks as well as Jacob rage stacks when they counterattack. So all of that is pretty massive in basically allowing us to do a lot more damage with our comp here. Then we have number 5, and that's going to be Mathasia. A close second is going to be Connor, but Mathasia is just going to allow your team to survive a lot longer with the revives, with the constant heals. But if you do have a Connor, he's not that much worse. The only thing with Connor is that you'd think he'd be better, but because the guild boss actually removes buffs, he oftentimes removes the shield with his damage and then removes the attack buff with his removed buffs. So it's kind of awkward to use Connor a little bit, whereas Brand constantly puts that shield up every turn, so it doesn't really matter too much in regards to Brand. But Connor does get a little bit worse because of the negative, or the trait rather, with the guild boss here. Then we're going to jump into some damage dealers here, and I have the top 5 damage dealers, and they are in order here in basically the damage potential I've seen a lot of these characters have. So first off is Jacob, and Jacob this is where his home really is. He's going to stack up both passives, the one that stacks his attack, as well as the one that stacks the defense down on the boss. You can see that here above his head, the little yellow number that stacks up to 20, which he's just about to max out here. It's going to give him a bunch of attack, and then we're going to get a bunch of defense down here with his intrigue, and it's overall just going to give us a lot of damage increase over the course of a guild boss run, as well as just getting a ton of attacks with the bonus attacks of curse sets and all that good stuff. Then we have Garel, and Garel is super huge for the guild boss as well, because he's going to be counterattacking every single time the boss AoEs, as well as just doing massive single target damage. And he oftentimes will get to his Asura state multiple times in a battle and just do massive damage. He could self-buff himself with the defense pierce and the attack up, which is pretty crucial in getting a lot more damage out of your characters, especially in a comp like this where we're only running that single target attack up. Then we have number 3, which is Hector, and Hector's the classic legendary that's going to be doing a ton of damage. His AI is a little poor, so you're going to do a lot more damage if you're going to run him on manual, and you're going to get a lot more damage out of him because you're able to kind of time the turns correctly so we can get that increased damage, and then the single target hits and the bonus turns and all that good stuff. So you're going to get a lot more damage out of Hector on manual. Then we have Aurak, and Aurak is quite good for 2 reasons. His max HP hit isn't actually very good until you reach later stages of the battle, but he actually has lifesteal as well as defense down on the basics. So running about 20-30% focus on him, which is quite easy to get, is actually really good for the guild boss because you'll have that constant defense down uptime, which increases your damage by a lot. And then the last one that we have here is Cyrus, and Cyrus is a step down. Same with Aurak from the top 3, but Cyrus with the well-timed ability immunity, as well as some really solid curse procs, and just overall self-buffing herself with attack. She's going to do quite a bit of damage for you in the guild boss, no matter what. If you're playing on manual, you're getting a little bit more because you can time those ability immunities for when you actually need them. And that's pretty much it for the list. And actually, we're going to be ending the fight about the same time. You can see Garel here is just going to do a little bit less, or last bit of chip damage. And we would have done a little bit more had we got a little bit more curse procs. Because we were a little bit low, I was watching a little bit of the curse procs throughout the battle. We're actually going to get one more solid turn out of Garel here because he's going to heal up a little bit and he's going to do one more big hit. And that pretty much puts us to the same amount of damage that we actually did from the kind of #1 place that I got earlier. Just about 50, 60%, 60,000 damage less than my #1 score. But overall, pretty solid. As you can see, the Wood Guild Boss is quite a step down from damage potential than the Water Guild Boss. But overall, quite good, and overall, pretty poor rewards, as we've seen the previous video. Few gear charms, some 5- and 6-star pieces, but overall, pretty fun to do. I enjoy these guild boss runs, even though the rewards aren't quite as good as we would like them to be. So I realized as I was ending this video, I didn't show you the battle report, so I just decided to run another guild boss run. We almost got 800k, full auto yet again, and you can see that Garel actually ended up doing a little bit more than Jacob here, and part of that is because Jacob got a little bit less curse procs here. 1 to 2 curse procs could be a huge deal for Jacob because he could stack that rage a little bit better. And the second thing is that Garel survives a lot longer than Jacob in this situation, so he gets to do a little bit more damage because of the lifesteal and the better base stats. So that'll be it for the Wood Guild Boss here. The next up is going to be Fire, and we'll go over that one when it comes around. But hopefully this gives you an insight into building your own Guild Boss comp, if it interests you, or if you want to get to that level 20 foodie quest, using some of these characters on the list will help you a lot. So that'll be it for this video, and I'll see you for the next one.